but we are starting the day with a killer match here.
Yeah.
beGenius and Trick eSport.
The magnificent score of Misfits couldn't be contained by brackets. It bust down there with that 5-0. And yeah, that's for sure. But as you were mentioning, our first match being beGenius versus Trick eSport is something that here for both of these teams is almost a must-win. Even for Trick eSports, who is in a 1-4 situation at the moment, still they want wins under their belt because they had a rough start at the beginning of the season. Everyone expects them to do much, much better than that, and they're looking to prove themselves once again today.
Yeah, they certainly are. Well, we'll see what the teams think about the matchup. Let's go ahead and check it out.
Like, and the other French people since a long time now, I think, and we are more used to play together than the Trick team, so I think we have an advantage on this way.
Like the only time I saw them play, they only play like the same stuff, and if we can figure out what they will play going up against us, I think we will be favored in draft and strategy, and I think from there on we can just win the game. But maybe they will have something prepared for us, and it will be very, very different from what we would expect going up against them.
I think our rival is Trick eSport because they're at the same level as us. They qualified in the same qualifier as us. So I think we have to beat them.
Well, beGenius is a team that I know has been doing pretty well in the qualifier. I know that they're like a team that I don't know personally many of them. I know only Danatan really well. And I know that Danatan is probably one of the strongest mechanical players in the scene. But problem is, like when I used to play with him in my old teams, it was mostly like because of problems with communication and stuff. But now that they have like a lot of French players, but only Russian player, I don't know. It feels like they're gonna do a lot better. At least Danatan is gonna be able to improve much more than what he did in previous teams that I played on. And I think that they are like newcomers, so they gonna have to improve a lot on their synergy and stuff like that. Else they will have like no chance against us.
beGenius and Trick eSport facing off here. Again, we've already talked about it. These are two teams that just need to earn wins here in the HGC. They want to prove themselves, and they also want to stay around for the next phase.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Trick eSport comes in with having a win under their belt now. They've got a little bit of momentum behind them after their win against Synergy. And I would say that in the current standings, in the current roster here, Synergy is a little bit above beGenius in terms of skill right now. So Trick eSport has a good opportunity to get another win on the board for themselves and keep themselves kind of in that mid-table position where they probably do settle right now until they gain that extra punch, that extra spark to then try and push them towards the top.
Yeah, to bring that team together a little bit. I mean, they could have easily been, 2-3 now if they had taken the chance of playing Ducks, but they had that weird chokeout comp that came out on BOE. So Trick eSport definitely has the skill here to take the game. Let's go ahead and check out the battleground. Where are we going here for our first game of the day? Our bands will be Tuma, Spider Queen, and Braxis Holdout. So the two battlegrounds have been banned out. Kind of interesting. beGenius actually having a really hard time at Sky Temple. I imagine they would have banned out that map. But regardless, we are going to Dragonshire, and that will be the choice here for Trick eSport. Something I want to talk to you about. These guys are currently being in the lower portions of the HGC right now.
Yes.
You have to start wondering, how does that weigh you down as a team? Your morale starts to fall apart. You start to kind of doubt each other. And I'm looking towards the team captains right now to be the two that really stand out for me. Crosby and Majin Tank for the win, to kind of lead their teams here and really bring that fortitude back so they can get into this league and actually handle out a few wins.
Yeah, I think for teams in the situation that they are currently in, both beGenius and to a lesser extent Trick eSport, because I think that they know that they have the wealth of experience and talent available to them to become a mid-tier team in the 8 standing compared to like a top-tier team just yet, but they certainly can transcend the lower tier. When it comes to beGenius, I think they have to look at the bigger picture. I think that they have to consider the fact that this is the top 8 teams in the whole of Europe.
Yeah.
Not just the idea that like, we're currently bottom. They need to consider the fact that below them is a plethora of teams in open division because Europe is quite stacked and quite deep. That, when it comes to those crucible matches, those are going to be the things that define those guys at the moment in their current shape. So they're in a bad spot, yes, in the standings, but they have to, again, as I say, look at the bigger picture and make sure that they are well prepared for anybody that's going to try and rival their spot.
Yeah, I like your thoughts on that. There is a lot of room for this team to constantly be thinking about what they're going against and learning from it. There's so much value you can get from just being in this league that you will have over your opponents that you do face off in the Crucible. So again, I'm looking at these two players, Crosby and Majin Tank for the win. Crosby, of course, being for Tricked eSport, their team captain, needs to continue not only being a solid player, you also need to be someone that is willing to bring your team together. We've talked about Alex Aproji in the past, Tank for the win here, actually being the leader for beGenius, but back to Tricked eSports. Crosby being the team captain, Alex Aproji doubts himself a lot. Crosby and his friend Eternal need to be these guys that kind of work together, bring the bond closer so these guys can even get a win.
They need to keep their composure for sure. Tricked eSport is a team that when I look at, there's a lot of guys on that team that do have emotionally driven attitudes towards the game.
Yeah.
But that's never necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it can have detrimental effects, but other times it can have amazing effects on the team when it comes to actually just having that drive, having that fortitude and pushing them further.
Yeah, there's a balance between self-assurance and being critical on the team. And they need to find that balance, and I'm looking to the team captains to be the members on that team that brings that to the draft. So here we go. Tricked eSport and beGenius facing off. Game number 1 here. Let's set up something to know. Tricked eSport, while in the interview, Nappy did mention that beGenius is very telegraphed in what they want to draft, which is really true in my opinion. I'm starting to get a feel that Tricked eSports is also a little telegraphed. 75% of their games has been warrior heavy.
Right.
60% has been 2 warriors, 15% has been 3 warriors. Tricked eSports needs to switch it up a little bit, but with that knowledge still being available here, Taika suddenly becomes big for both these teams.
I like the alluding to the numbers, because for me, when I look at Tricked eSport, a lot of it was, we mentioned it in the first couple of weeks, balancing how much of a front line you're going to have, right? It seemed like some wasn't quite there. Dahaka's going to be the first ban for beGenius. Don't mind that in the slightest, because again, Tricked eSport has shown tendencies towards going to those heavier frontliners, and especially with a global and a strong warrior like Dahaka, that's a good ban for beGenius.
Yeah, it is. Dahaka is by far the most played hero for Tricked eSport when they have him available. The second being Rhaegar, as we just constantly seen Crosby play that Rhaegar. Over to beGenius here. On the right, there's a Tychus pickup. That was going to be the #1 pick for both these teams, it felt like, throughout this entire draft phase. They both enjoy selecting said hero. Now, Tricked eSport to the left, things to start considering. They've started to move away from Tychus in the last couple of matches they've played and move towards Jaina, which has been great. ETC will be the first pickup, and there is Malfurion for Tricked eSport. So they are making some slight adjustments here as Malfurion is becoming their main go-to now.
Yeah, so building their foundation first and looking to just round things out with damage afterwards. When I say the foundation, Warrior and Support, I feel like are very important roles for them. Nappe has seemed to, in my opinion, have done better on Malfurion than his other healers, but he's a support player that doesn't necessarily play the traditionals. We've seen him on things like Uther and... I say that and almost have a slight giggle, but that's because we just never get to see Uther. We just never get to see it. But he brought it out in a very interesting game. And then obviously, things like Oriel down the line. He's one of the supports that doesn't really play Brightwing, so they don't want to get like shoehorned into a sticky situation.
Yeah.
So getting Malfurion in is good.
And the other note too is that beGenius just always goes for Malfurion. So already you have Malfurion as one of the best supports in the game. Just put your healer on Malfurion, and you've taken away 2 major picks that beGenius would normally run while they only get their Tychus. So this is where beGenius starts to become a little confused on their linear draft, and we'll see where they're going to head down in terms of pathing here. They move it to Johanna and Zul, which has been a pretty big staple on Dragonshire. Now having Johanna and Zul together equals wave clear out the wahoo.
Yeah.
It's actually insane how much pushing you can do.
And people underestimate just how powerful the wave clear is to then gain control of shrines on this map, I feel. Because if a wave is pushing against your towers, you lack a lot of vision in that lane, be it top or bottom. And then from that point on, you feel compelled to clear the wave before actually moving onto the shrine. So it's definitely a very strong tool that indirectly interacts with how much shrine control that you've got.
Yeah, the balance is very difficult to deal with, that overwhelming pressure that's coming your way.
Yeah.
You're going to give up a minion or 2 on waves when you're trying to hold down the dragon statues, when you're trying to actually grab those shrines so you can get your Dragon Knight.
It's good balance.
So you're going to have 1 or 2 minions on each wave suddenly not getting picked up, and that can be eking out a victory for your opposing team. Jaina is banned out, which was, we were talking about Trick eSport has been moving towards Jaina more often now, so now you've taken away their main assassin Tychus, and you've taken away their Jaina.
Yeah, Crosby has been playing a pretty mean Jaina for Trick eSport, so I'm not surprised by that. But one thing that does raise as a concern in my mind is that he's still quite versatile, so we could easily see something like a Vala come in, something like a Li Ming come in, even a Falstad or Gul'dan, and then he would still be quite well versed. And well, there's Falstad and Vala.
There it is. So Falstad, Vala, Malfurion, and ETC. A strong lineup here for Trick eSport, and they aren't going heavy on warriors here, which is refreshing to see from Trick eSport.
Yeah, they've changed the gear that they've been in the past couple of series, and it's brilliant to see. I'm wondering if that's because they're not up against the big three, or Expert, which had a fantastic series against Trick eSport, just to kind of... It felt like in those previous series they were like, oh, okay, maybe we can't beat them with standard comps. Maybe we're going to have to try the heavier warrior or solo Tyrael without much support to it. It didn't work out, but against these lower tier teams in HGC Europe right now, they're finding good comfort with just a very, very standard and powerful damage setup behind the front line.
Well, beGenius fitting up their roster here. Kharazim has been one of their second supports to go to. Leoric will be the final pickup for beGenius here.
Vicryl Leoric as well.
Yeah, so they are going massive on the wave clear, and they're hoping that you get so much pressure on Trick eSport that they get an engage where Kharazim can bring the damage in and help out with the auto attacks there. So it's a bold strategy. I was actually looking at Ragnaros for being that 5th pickup for beGenius, just to get a strong top laner. Because now Leoric can still be great up there, but you still need a little bit more damage, I feel like, when you have Tychus. Tychus' damage isn't very bursty. Regardless, they do go Leoric, which is kind of filling this entire theme of push your opponent in and make him deal with all the minions heading in their direction.
All right, so now we just have to figure out where Trick eSport is going to go. I would like a little bit more frontline. Zarya would fit really beautifully with this, I feel.
Yeah.
But let me think, who is actually playing that? The thing is that I think we're looking for Eternals hero now, so maybe even something like a Tyrael could come in to help this out.
Artanis could also be a pickup for the team here, and it's actually going to be Sonya.
Wow, okay. We just have to kind of consider her now. Like, after the current patch, because obviously we are now playing on the Valera patch, where Sonya has a little bit of buffs to self-healing, etc., her sustain. We just have to... We've seen her how many times now in the past 2 days? Like
we have seen her a total of, 3 times. Misfits ran her yesterday to wonderful avail, owning the top lane. She seems to be this new hero that, okay, we come into the top lane and we own here. Let's go ahead and talk about the draft here. We want you guys to tell us what you think about it, though. Heroes Esports, use the hashtag HGC. But back to Sonya. She's become a top lane menace, and she seems impossible to kill in that lane unless you get a solid rotation in.
Yeah, she seems strong. She does seem strong. And going up against what we're seeing here with a Johanna, a Zul, a Kharazim, Leoric, that's massive value for a Sonya against 4 pretty, impactful frontliners, or at least grouped up frontliners, because you have to group when you're with a Kharazim.
And Sonya, again, not too powerful against Johanna. I know Johanna, when you think about it, okay, she's got solid peel, she's actually pretty strong. She doesn't really do much against Sonya. In fact, in a straight one-on-one, Sonya chunks her down quickly. Also, when Sonya gets in the back line on Tychus or Kharazim or Zul in this example, there's going to be no major peel here. Leoric, his Drain Hope doesn't do too much against Sonya, as she has a low health bar, so she just whirlwinds through it. This is a wonderful last-second pickup.
Oh, absolutely.
For eSport.
Definitely. I think it's a great pick for them at the very end there, and it's something that, as I just mentioned, we're definitely going to have to get used to seeing more of with this, especially heavier melee meta that we're seeing in Europe currently.
Her and Varian are the new heroes that we're seeing everywhere. I played so much Varian yesterday because I'm trying to get him in my head for the hero to be picked up in drafts. Also, just in terms of draft overall, I think Falstad is a great pickup, can rotate between the top and the bottom. I actually wouldn't mind Falstad being in the top lane over Sonya and putting Sonya in the rotation just to deal with that Johanna. So Vala could focus on wave clear. And then they have ETC for the engage. So
Yeah, you know that the majority of that rotation is going to be melee heavy, right?
Yeah.
So why not apply a bit more pressure to them early on to actually shut it down, or at least shut a lot of the pace down of it?
Slow it
So
down.
I think that could work.
All right, guys, we're ready here. We're going into Dragon Shire. Let's do it.
All right, game number 1 of day 2 here in week 4, as we have to the left-hand side, Nappy going to be on the Malfurion. Will be Alex the Pro G playing ETC, and then we have Crosby going to be playing the Valor. Next up, it's Eternal actually playing the Falstad, and Rema Baller is going to be on the Sonya. So I guess Rema just kind of feels more of an affinity for that than the usual melee assassin player in Eternal.
Yeah, he's been playing more variety for Trick eSport. Well,
Yeah.
here on the right, here's beGenius. Danatan will be showing off his Johanna gameplay. Eric Keen on the Zool. Kirwa will be playing Tychus instead of Li Ming. Sad face for me. And Tank for the win will be showing off Leorg.
All right, so slow start at the beginning. Did you know? Did you know? It's actually just a World of Warcraft fact, not necessarily a lore fact. The Vicrol Leoric here makes me bring up the Vicrol. And the 4 spirits in Utgard Pinnacle that actually get channeled during the last boss are actually the same guys as the 4 guys in the final encounter in Halls of Valor.
Wow.
There you go.
Apparently, Claris knows a second language.
I-
Dropping things that I have never heard of before.
You're like, what's Halls of Valor? What's Utgard Pinnacle? What are the Vicrol?
Oh, so he was in a hall? That's really cool.
All right, enough of that. We'll get on with that later.
The rotations begin for our teams. We saw a quick snipe on a turret in the top here. We have the 3-man rotation in the middle. We've seen Eric King actually have the top there to help that push for Tank for the win. So lots of rotations for our teams, as we actually had all 5 converge in the middle lane. So beGenius really moving forward here with this idea of pushing in their opponents and making sure to get that Triton Zool being proc. They're getting it in the top lane, they're getting it in the middle lane often.
Actually noticing this, that Johanna going for a very heavier sustain build is something that's a little bit more uncommon. You normally see kind of block coming in, but Regen Master, I guess it just benefits from the fact that she's between bottom and middle constantly, so she can get those globes very, very quickly, get that bonus health quickly, and obviously the regen as well.
Well, yeah, that's super helpful. Hang on here as we have Eric King in trouble, power slide from Max Proji, and there will be a pickoff. As well as Danatan must be in trouble. But back on that Johanna point there, also, Karazim is in the mix-up here.
Yes.
She needs that extra healing available because Karazim's going for a damage build, which, I don't know, if you're a Vala, and if you've ever played Vala against a Karazim, if he gets those 3 punches on you, your health bar is actually down to half.
Yeah.
He's actually pretty darn devastating, especially against a squishy lineup that Trick eSport has. So with beGenius having their Johanna pick up those regen globes, we're going to have Karazim applying the damage.
Well, I mean, while he dashes out there, the Dragon Knight is already being picked up for Trick eSport. This is a minor disaster for beGenius. Karazim's falling as well. It's a minor disaster because with a Johanna and a Zool, they're supposed to control this mid to bottom lane rotations, but they haven't been able to. They lost Zool early on, which then almost snowballed the situation. So Arrakeen a little bit out of place really hurt them.
Yeah, disaster is turning into a tornado here as it just continues to spin out of control here for eSport as they continue the push here. beGenius is just hurting right now as they are 6-4. Trick eSports has taken this lead in the early game and they are just running with it. It is very difficult to fall behind as a Zool team and get back into the game, especially this early on.
Yeah, they've already lost themselves a level lead. So now we're going to have Trick eSport here taking all of those towers, really opening up the bottom lane. And the more that gets opened up, the more difficult it is for beGenius, especially before level 10, to actually get onto that shrine at bot. So the next Dragon Knight could be as treacherous, potentially.
Yeah, they could. And Trick eSport has no idea here. They don't actually want to slow down this momentum that they already have. With Monster Hunter in the bottom left, they've grabbed their Giants. Tank for the win in the top lane, dealing with Rimmer, who's at full health constantly because he's just wave clearing those minion waves. And the aggression continues as we actually have an engage in the middle lane here. Alex Okroji goes to the power slide. Danatan in trouble. Unstable will be here to help. But the pressure continues. Trick eSports is not letting up.
Yeah. I mean, if you just look at Alex's position right now, it's a very good position to try and slow down beGenius in terms of their rotation, or force them to go the long way around to make this rotation between mid and bot. So small moves like this are going to really keep Trick eSport in the driving seat down towards the bottom lane, whilst Sonya is able to hold her own in the top solo, but 2 being rotated around because beGenius realizes they have to make some value somewhere.
You know, And the value they put in is the top lane, but Sonya's going to be fine there, especially with her level 7 talent pickup, getting the ability to heal by taking some of her Fury there. Ooh, another engagement from Max Proji is coming from the side, and Karazim taken out. What is that? A total of 3 kills by 5 minutes already here. Arakeen goes in for the Bone Prison, but he's locked in. Alex Proji goes in for the power slide once again. Kira, though, looking for Alex Proji, misses the grenade, but Tank for the win will follow up with the Drain Hope.
So that's the first kill going over to beGenius, and in part it came down to the fact that he was stood in backlash. I've not seen that animation.
It's beautiful, right?
That's pretty amazing. It came down to him actually power sliding into backlash and taking quite a sizable chunk of damage there from Zul. So a little bit of an ambitious move there by Alex the Proji. He was deep in enemy territory.
But I like it. This is not something we've seen from Trick eSport. They've been a wait team. Oh, maybe we'll win. Oh, wait, we lost the game. Now they're actually making massive aggression here in the early game, and it's pleasing to see here. Rimmer in the top lane will be spinning the win here. Tank for the win, and Arakeen helping out, but here comes Falstad. Eternal brings in the last couple of auto attacks, and there's a takedown. Trick eSports is nearly close to level 10.
Yeah, they're doing very well with this game at the moment. 4-1 in terms of the lead with their kills. And looking across the builds, not too much craziness. I think it actually is... Oh, okay, it is Boomerang. I thought it was Secret Weapon there for a moment. I always get confused at that level 7 talent. But overall, getting themselves a Dragonite, getting themselves level 10. They're going to have Wrath of the Berserker in there, Strafe, Twilight Dream, Stage Dive, importantly, as well as Mighty Gust. So that's going to allow Alex the Proji to get into very aggressive positions.
That will dive that back line, and that again makes it hard for Johanna and Leoric to peel. They're not very good healing heroes when it comes to actually getting into those fights. So Stage Dive making that slightly more difficult. Fort down here in the bottom right for Trick eSports as they continue to keep pushing. beGenius gotta be hurting here. Another fort in the middle could be going down. Trick eSports just smiling right now as they just push through the entire map. beGenius here to help defend. Kirwa will help out with his auto attack and that minigun on top of that dragon. Rimmer will use Spear to get away from the escape. Falstad, meanwhile, has been pushing top the entire time. Arakeen will attempt to slow it down and even pop his bone armor. Odd there. Big stage dive from Alex the Proji. A knockback into a power slide. In a second here, there is a kill. And Trick eSports in cruise control.
Yeah, powering out these this global potential that they have with that stage dive as well. And Falstad obviously being the global menace that he can be. Now, one small thing obviously is with stuff like that is that sometimes keeping your enemy's walls alive is very useful. And that's why we saw Sonya being able to go so deep with the Dragon Knight, then being able to spear out onto that wall. Similar to, you know, when we see Illidan's in the game. Don't kill the walls, just let your Illidan jump around on them.
Yeah, it's a pseudo-mystical spear at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
Tank for the win comes up for the defense. Luckily now, if you're a beGenius fan at home, you do have a good moment here for the team. They've just hit level 10, so now heroics are available. Blessed Shield and Tomb. We have Skeletal Mages, and 7-side Strike, and Laser. So there is a lot of control here for beGenius. They can get an isolated pick on maybe a Sonya, which is hard to do with their having Wrath, or even hitting one of the squishies back here, whether it be the Follow, Malfurion, or Falstad, they can get a takedown.
Yeah, so if they did hit something with Blessed Spear or Entomb and then 7-sided Strike, they could kill it off quite fast. The one concern is if they want to go for one of those frontliners, like Sonya, for example, Mystical Spear is about to be up, since she's rapidly approaching that level 13. So she'll have a great escape mechanic to get out of some of those situations quite soon. And beGenius is going to have to maybe look for alternative targets.
Here is the target they're looking for. A turret down the bottom left. They break it down, getting that experience, while meanwhile Trick eSports, knowing that their opponents are in the bottom, have decided to start pushing the top. However, Sonya has yelled to her team, let's go for an engage. Starts running down Rimmer on the right side. Danatan is in the bush for scouting. Will be able to escape. beGenius right now are holding on.
Is that just how Sonya talks? It's not just leap. She just yells everything. I'm coming down,
I'm going in!
I'm going in! It's like that.
On her Chocobo mount, she runs down, feathers a flea.
You're like, Sonya, just shush, all right?
It's calm down.
It's all
right. Get your MMR up. Stop yelling about it.
I mean, she's making her way in, so she's slowly working her way up the ranks.
All right, Dragon Grab, though, for Trick eSports, as they'll go ahead and start pushing down the middle lane. Fort in trouble. We're going to need Drain Hope here and Kirwa as well to break down this dragon. But again, another successful moment for Trick eSports.
Yep, so looking to just gear up on this defense. Not doing too badly, sustaining through that position. And we will see them rotating down towards the bottom lane to put on some pressure here. So just looking for towers. They realize that that middle port isn't really too much of a cushion for beGenius because it is already so low. So looking to open up bottom lane is very, very potent. They can get good value here since bottom lane is most important on Dragon Trap.
Yeah, it totally is. Just get that keep wall breaking down and that is success there. And they can finish that fort in the middle at any point. It's dead at this point. It's so low on health. You have False Dad with Boomerang. Easy pickup for Trick Esports.
Now, one thing to note is that she didn't go Mystical Spear. She actually, at level 13, she actually went Life Funnel, which, you know, has a bit of impact again with it now since the patch.
To be fair, it's become much more standard, because of the patch. Mystical Spear used to be the go-to, but with that buff on that healing on teammates, or on heroes, what is it, 50% more healing on the opposing hero, and then suddenly you get the stack up of Life Funnel, you just do not die.
Yeah.
And if you die, it's a bug, and you should have the Blizzard tech support.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
You know all about
Stand it up. They definitely read those every day.
Yeah, of course. But to our defense, of course, we did see some Mystical Spear yesterday. It still definitely has its uses in places. But that is going to be a great lockdown. That's exactly what they need as they go in for the Entomb and the seven-sided strike on ETC. That's the perfect target because he doesn't have something like Crowd Surfer. He tried to stage dive but was not able to get out.
Yep. That is what you do with the comp that beGenius has. You bring Karazim in, you bring the seven-sided strike, you isolate targets. You don't want to be in 5v5 because seven-sided strike loses its value.
Yeah.
Get the engage, get your minigun on one target, and burn them down. Now, with that opening here, they can go for the fort. Stage dive is up, though, you mentioned, so in 10 seconds, we could have an ETC, but another pick. beGenius now is showing life.
Condemn is the absolute bane of the Sonya when she's going in like that, trying to whirlwind, get that life from the health funnel, etc., and just the whirlwind in general. But Condemn instantly brings her out of it and really causes a lot of problems. So we're going to have to see our Sonya for Trick Esports be very, very careful about where Johanna is in those engagements.
Yeah, and if you are going to go for these engagements, be okay with it being interrupted. You always need to be thinking about that. If I lose out on whirlwind here, can I still survive? Questions like that are definitely important. That's why you pick up that level 7 talent that allows you to take some Fury and give you some health so you can have that sustain. 16 to 15 right now for our teams. Shrines are activating in the next 20 seconds. Trick Esports continues to take the map back as they push down the bottom lane. ETC is back up with a stage dive and can start handling that top lane that Zul is trying so hard to get 16-4.
Such an interesting little build, I suppose, from Eternal.
Do we have Afterburner?
Yeah, we do. We have Afterburner. So he will gain a bit of momentum, a speed after he barrel rolls.
Again, another side effect of Leoric and Johanna being the main warriors. They're usually so far in the front line that if you actually Afterburner past them, they cannot catch you unless they use Blessed Shield or Leoric uses his Wraith Walk. So that means Tychus in the back line could be focused down. It's a really great engaging tool and wonderful as well for when you start winning the fight because you have that speed to keep tight forward.
Falstaff's going to middle. He actually flew to that Dragon Knight. Does he get it? No, the grenade denied. Good stuff there from beGenius, realizing that there was always that potential from the fly. Also, the minions saw it, so they knew. But anyway, Danatan will capture that shrine towards the bottom. They got Dragon Knight just before he was able to, though. Good stuff by Trick Esports.
Sneaky, sneaky Beaver here. Rimmer Baller now able to move down with the Dragon and start moving towards that keep wall we saw killed earlier. Remember that point that Claire's brought up for you at home? This is why it's so important. This keep is exposed to the damage that Trick Esports could apply to it, especially with a ball and a false set to back it up.
This is their 4th Dragon Knight, right?
Yeah.
Like they've slowly just chunked down wall, wall, fort, wall, and now onto keep here with this. They've been very, very patient about their Dragon Knight. Well, I say patient, but they've kind of just gone in, smacked down things, and then just come back. So they've been patient about multiple Dragon Knight uses, but very, very aggressive with how they've been using each individual one. So let's see if they can do more damage. Doesn't look like it. You see, that died so quickly.
Here's the Entomb. Rimmer goes around for the spear. Does jump on Danatan. 7-side strike has been popped at the same time. Strafe will keep beGenius at the bay here for now, but with members losing so much health, Trick Esports takes the opportunity to push in.
That's one thing when the Entombs come down. Remmer has to, because he doesn't have Mystical Spear, he has to use his spear aggressively. So anytime a tomb is coming down, you can expect Trick Esports to just try and engage hard onto someone because of that situation.
There's a steal keeping Rimmer alive here. Alex Apoji goes for another engage. There's the bone armor. Big pop here on Alex Apoji, and he is taken out. Mighty Gus, too late. Eternal will be able to retreat with the rest of his team, but they have lost their cow.
Cost all heroics on either side there, so everyone's just going to back off, kind of consolidate their losses as Trick Esports looks to defend up towards the top lane. they haven't lost too much of their structural integrity on their side of the map, whereas that keep towards the bottom is very, very low.
Ooh, big entomb, 7-sided, Drain Hope, dead Sonya.
A nice attempt to spear onto the hard camp as well.
It was cute.
Yeah.
It was cute, which is out of characteristic for Sonya, but still, she's able to get away with that big spear, almost, but blown up by the Drain Hope and the grenade there from Kiribov. Fort in trouble in the middle. With 2 members being down, eSports needs to play careful here. I'm looking at you, Crosby, as he bolts into the fight here. Eric Keen on the right, on the side though. Ooh, Strafe though being popped, and I was incorrect there. Trick eSports gets a pick.
It's about Nappy's roots there. That was very well done here by Malfurion, and that opens up the opportunity for them just to start their camps on their side, knowing that, unfortunately for them, Sonya being down for a little while means that they can't exert themselves too much on their opponent's side of the map.
You know, got Giants down here in the bottom right for beGenius as they try to counter with at least some pressure of their own. 18-18, but Shrine's activating the 9 seconds, and we're going to have Sonya back on the field. With how quickly Trick Esports has grabbed these dragons, don't be too surprised if we see a 5th dragon here soon, if they set up well and use this 15-second time window they have available to them.
Just looking through as many talents as possible here to see if we're seeing anything out of the crazy ordinary. It doesn't look like too much craziness aside from, you know, what we were saying with a slight difference in that full stat build towards the end. Level 20s is what we're going to be paying attention to next coming up, as we will have Trick eSport here just looking to clear up the top lane, and somebody just based up towards the top. It was Karazine, so to get himself mana.
Karazine having that cleansing touch, so helpful. He basically has 3 cleanses if he uses that Radiant Dash because he got the level 7 talent that gives him 1 more dash, so watch out for that. Really a great way to deal with the Blessed Shield that comes your way. Do a couple of drops on your teammates and make sure they are cleansed. Tank for the win though, getting a bit aggressive here as Danatan leads the charge, decides to pull on back. beGenius has grouped as 5.
Yeah, we saw Unstable use that same build yesterday against Misfits on the Karazine. It's really nice to see him kind of have consistency in that. Tank for the win now, taking a lot of damage. That's August as well as a stage dive here, looking to zone out. I think there was a bit of indecision there from Trick eSport. They wanted to try and get the Dragon Eye, but neither player knew which to channel it.
Well, it was actually the Skeletal Mage that stopped it. The idea was the Mighty Gust and then have ETC come in. Hang on here, Alex Koji goes for power slide, hitting multiple members, but they are not 20, and beGenius is turning this fight around. Nape in trouble as well. Tank for the win, being a spooky ghost, slowing down members. 3 have fallen here for Trick eSports, and beGenius somehow, some way hits 20 before their opponents.
They won out that team fight because everybody for Trick eSport was very clumped up trying to control that Dragonite and that bush, so vision was a limiting factor during all of that, and as such, when you're in that position, Zul's getting a lot of damage done.
Oh my. Wow. Kirwa over here on the side too, just life-stealing through here. Unstable goes in for the engage saving here too, but also another note on top of what you're saying, the 2 heroics being used on the dragon.
Yes. It's like there's so much AoE damage coming out. Johanna even provides quite a bit of AoE damage. Zul is, Tychus is, all of that in that small area really ripped them apart. Now, interesting to note, at level 20, Leoric's actually got Hardened Shield, not Siphoning Life Leech. Can't even remember the name of it. What's it called? It's really strong. Siphoning Leech. There you go.
That's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna say it super confident. Siphoning Leech.
Thanks for luring me down a dark path. But anyway, double Storm Shield here, as well as the Bone Spear, is going to leave them in a very, very good sustainable spot.
Another Entomb here. Gonna have the Mighty Gust to save Trick eSports. The first dragon here for beGenius, and they are knocking on the bottom door here of Trick eSports, trying to take out this keep. It is low on health. They don't have the single DPS that Drain Hope and Tychus provides to defend a boss, like we've seen already in the past from beGenius. So with the keep being taken out, beGenius has taken the first lead in this game in terms of catapult pressure.
Yeah, this is good for beGenius, really good. They've seized so much momentum in these later team fights. Now it's got to be careful. They've got Trick eSport losing ETC once again.
Big silence though, hitting 4 people into the death. Masharoni picking up 3 people. A big punt from Eric Keen trying to save his life. The root is slightly too late. Skeletal Mage comes out, but Rimmer going for the chase. Big fly in from Eternal, and we're going to have 4 members wiped for beGenius. That Death Mosh into silence, owning.
Either Alex the Pro G is a genius, or that went just really, really well. Because, all right, so the last couple of fights that they've gone into, he's dove in to the back lines, and they've just blown him up each time.
Yeah.
They hit level 20, he dove in, but picks Death Metal I can't believe, because that just won them the entire team fight, and that's potentially going to win them the game, Trick.
They could win the game. The laser is pretty scary here, though, from Kirvwalk. Can they burn down the Sonya? The Sonya, though, here with the hardened shield, ignoring pain, will be able to hold for now. The core continues to be focused. Crosby on the back right, just auto-attacking with no problem whatsoever. This is going to be the game here for Trick Esports, and they will get a fight in the end, taking them up 1-0 in this best-of-5 series.
That death metal. I've never seen a death metal get quite as much value as that one. ETC bot wasn't death metal, right?
ETC bot wasn't a death metal.
No.
That was Torbus, right? He actually power slided into
Maybe.
an amazing engage there.
ETC bot.
Yes, it's a good heads-up play there. I'm going to have to go with and give Alex Aproji the benefit here of assuming, okay, I've been focused down every single fight. It's time for me to make a play right now. And his team was there. If we were to actually have a replay, you could see them all just move in and get ready for it. Let's actually check it out. Kalaris, guide us through.
Look at this. All right, so the stage dive comes in. They all turn around like they've instinctively been
doing. Look at Navi moving in.
And the bolt. And the Dragon Knight was even hitting him as well. So he was getting shredded. But that was just...
Yep, that was coordinated. You could just tell by the way Navi was moving. He was ready to jump in for that bolt and finish up on the death mosh. Solid play there by Trick Esports, and they grabbed the first win of this best-of-5 series. We'll be right back with game number 2 right after